This is Swiss and Chips, your British guide to Switzerland. Hello and welcome to Swiss and Chips. I'm Jo Fay.
And I am Simon Sweet.
And in this episode, we just got back from swimming in the river. So we thought, why not? Let's talk about wild swimming. But is that completely true? No, because we did a poll in our Facebook group and asked you, which topic do you want us to talk about today? There was a choice of 3 and you guys picked wild swimming. So here we are. If you'd like to join our Facebook group, then you definitely should. It's a place where you can swap advice with other people, you can influence our show like today, and you can also ask questions as well. Check it out on Facebook. It's called Switzerland for English Speakers.
Yeah, it's really nice and tiny still, so you can influence our show.
Yeah, you can only vote once though, just so we're clear. Anyhow, wild swimming, it's absolutely baking outside. It's roughly 30 degrees right now, I think.
Yeah, we came home from England last weekend and there was already a topic everywhere of the heat wave, and now it hits Switzerland, so
exactly.
Really nice.
Basically in Switzerland, the thing to do when it gets really hot is to head down to the water, wherever it is. It might be a river, it might be a lake, it might just be an open-air swimming pool. But really, swimming is the thing in Switzerland, I think, in the summertime.
Like you feel a little bit, it's really summer, when everyone is taking the bag with them with swimming stuff, and you feel like kind of, on weekends you feel everyone is kind of close to a river or shades. I mean, it's not everybody's thing, but loads of people at least like to go swimming. So
exactly.
And yeah, the other day we just talked and I said, how is it in England? Are you also just going swimming wherever you can? And can you go swimming in lakes and so on? And yeah, that's why we came up with the topic.
Yeah, it's basically a little bit different, I think. Here it's really kind of accepted and kind of, how can I say, it's kind of part of the culture here, I think, going swimming at lunchtime or going swimming after work, and not to a swimming pool, but to an actual crystal clear lake, where you can see through down to the stones at the bottom. The water's beautiful and clean, there's no rubbish, there's no weeds floating in it.
Well, at least where you can. It's not everywhere that you have crystal clear lakes and so otherwise you just go to a swimming pool.
Exactly, yeah. So I guess what we're talking about is kind of wild swimming, basically. Yeah. We call it in England.
And the water is also clear, I think, and not so much weed or seagrass. Do we have seagrass?
Maybe only in the sea.
Okay. And you don't really have that because it's so cold, I think, as well. It's quite cold, the water, so. Yeah. And warmer lakes that are not so deep, like the Lake of Murten, for example, is not so deep and usually a bit warmer, has also a bit more seagrass.
Floating on top there. Yeah. Not so nice when you have to swim through green stuff.
Yeah.
So I think there's maybe sort of 3 types of wild swimming you can do of varying degrees in Switzerland. At one end, you've got the baddies, the swimming baths, which are sort of...
oh yeah, please say buddies again.
No. Supervised swimming areas in naturally occurring water. That's my personal definition. There's normally a lifeguard there, and it's either in a lake, for example, but it's kind of cordoned off, or, something like that. It's kind of... There's a lifeguard there and there are facilities, changing rooms, and you probably have to pay to go in. But there's lots of nice facilities like a bar and sun loungers and those kind of things.
Yeah, and you also have sometimes, how do you say, like you can't get out. For example, in the Aare, a river where you can swim, and you have certain places where the river goes.
The river goes to...
It splits, and a part of the river is then making like kind of a pool.
Ah, exactly,
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's not the river that you can't float away there.
Yeah, it's kind of contained water.
It was a long day, as we said.
Yeah, long day swimming.
Hot.
Yeah, sometimes the river splits and there's a part which is kind of cordoned off and you can't just keep floating forever until you reach the sea.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little bit safer, you might say.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of wild-ish swimming, I think, which is where there's no lifeguards watching over you, but there are some facilities, like a place where you can get changed, or there are steps to get in and out of the water. It's kind of, there have been adaptations made, but there's no one kind of watching out for you.
Yes, that's, I think, the usual thing.
Yeah, that's the most common, I think. And then there's completely wild, some you're going for a walk somewhere in the mountains and you come across a mountain lake, or you're just walking by some kind of small lake and basically you can just go swimming in it. So there you go, wild
True.
swimming in a nutshell. But here in Bern, we have the Aare River, which is extremely popular for going swimming in. Maybe you can explain in a bit more detail.
Yeah, I think the types of swimming you just said is true, but then it's always the question where, especially if you don't know the country or you don't know the place where you might live. Because if you moved here, then the question will be, where can I swim and where to go, especially if you go really wild and no one is swimming there. You might don't exactly know, can I or can I not?
Yeah.
So it's better first maybe to check online a little bit, but we get to that maybe later on. But here in Bern, it's the river, the Aare River, and I think it's a really, how can you say, it's a very important site of the town. It makes Bern what it is,
Yes,
because it floats
definitely
around the town and has also gives it a nice shape, the town, and everyone has this kind of feeling. It just belongs to the town.
Mm-hmm. It kind of winds in and out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you look at an aerial picture of Bern online, you'll see the river kind of winds around and wraps around the old town.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
really
the
nice.
special thing is because it's the capital of Switzerland, and still it's super extremely clean, and you basically can drink the water if you want to, and you can jump in on one place and then just float along, and then somewhere else you get out.
Exactly.
But yeah.
And there's lots of places where you can climb in on steps, for example. You can
Yes.
just walk down the steps and then get in quite easily. You can also get in anywhere that you can kind of find a path through the trees and
Yes.
climb down a few stones if you want to. And then when it's time to get out, there's lots and lots and lots of different small steps along both sides of the river,
Yeah.
basically. And you're looking out for them, and they have a red pole, and you'll be swimming towards it, and then you grab the pole and climb up.
Yeah, that's like you explained. It sounds a bit more simple than it is. I think before you jump in the river of the Aare, you just have to make sure to at least contact someone who has made it already a few times, or even better, go with that person, or don't go alone without information before where to
No,
get in and where to
definitely
get
not.
out. You must be informed beforehand.
Yeah,
because
I
that's
think-
quite dangerous.
I think lots of kind of tourists or newcomers to the city come and see people, tons of people, like today on a hot day, all swimming in the river. And they maybe think, if they can do it, I can. Sure. But I can tell you from personal experience, when you're standing at the side of the river for the first time, you think, that looks fast. How on earth am I going to get out? So I would say definitely go with someone who's been before if it's your first time. And if possible, if not possible, we'll come back to that in a minute. And I would also say, getting out sounds harder than it is, but you have to be a little bit aware.
And you have to know where to get out, especially. So
Yeah.
someone must tell you, here you get out. And the best way to do that is when you're in the water with that person and the person says, let's slowly swim towards the edge. Now we can tell quickly how it is a typical Aare swim, how we would do it.
Okay, so what happens is something like this. It's boiling hot outside and one of us says, let's go swimming.
Yeah, and if you live close to the Aare, like luckily we do quite live very close, so we just go in our swimming stuff, take a Aare bag.
The Aare bag, they sell lots of different ones here in Bern. It's a kind of waterproof bag and you can buy different handles for them. And you put your stuff inside, maybe a few clothing items. You can even take your phone. It's safe, trust me. Some flip-flops,
money or
a towel,
something,
maybe some money. And then you fold it over at the top a few times, sling it across your body.
Yeah, so it's waterproof.
It's waterproof.
Yeah.
And you can take it in the water with you, no problem.
Then you bring a inflatable thing like
A kind of long
a ball or a
tube.
sausage or
something
whatever.
inflatable that you can hang on to,
Yeah,
basically.
so you don't have to actually swim. You just go and walk up the river, and then somewhere where you think, oh, that's a good place. Then, or it depends also how hot is the water, how hot is it outside, how long do I want to stay in the water, basically.
Yeah.
So, and then you jump in and you float till you go out, and then you go out and try and do the same thing again. You walk up and
Float down the river and then walk back up again.
And like on a day like today, it's just like basically a queue to walk up. It's massive people are.
Yeah.
It was
There's people everywhere.
really nice, yeah. And also boats are coming. So.
That's the other thing, yeah. If you don't fancy swimming down the river, you can also go down in an inflatable dinghy.
Yeah, you can rent them in Thun. That's a bit more up the river. And then you can float down to Bern, down the river, and leave it there. So it's quite, it's really nice, but it's also, I think it's like around 180, 200 francs for two people or something. So it's also not cheap.
Yeah, true.
But the best thing is we put some links to help you on our website, I think.
Exactly.
And you
can
find
check
them on swissandchips.com.
Exactly. Of course, it's not just river swimming in Switzerland. There's also plenty of lakes where you can go swimming. Suddenly trying to think of the lake names. Lake Geneva, Lake Zurich,
Lake Thun,
where
we have been today without swimming stuff.
That was a big mistake. If you're going near a lake, take your swimming stuff with you because you will want to get in.
Yeah.
And there it's a similar kind of experience. There's probably, lots of steps that go down to the lake or even a few kind of big rocks that you could easily walk down to get in. And I think just have a look around because it's not advised to get in just anywhere. Yeah. And there are also big boats on these lakes as well. So be careful and check it out a bit first.
Yeah, like I said, I think you should check it out online before a little bit. Search for the place where you want to go and for wild swimming or where to go swimming. We can also put a few links more of that to our website. And in a river, the same counts also for a lake. So you have to be a bit more careful, and there are a few safety tips. And actually today I read in the SRF, the Swiss
Radio and Television.
Yeah, they published an article where they shared a few safety tips, and they said there are last year there were 40 deaths drowning, and the year before 58 people drowning. So
this is in all the lakes and rivers in Switzerland.
Yeah, so that's a lot. If you compare that to like avalanches in winter, we have maybe around 20 people dying per year. So it's double. So it's really, you have to be careful, I think.
Yeah, and I think it might seem like common sense, but don't go too far if you're feeling tired. And I personally would also say don't drink before you go swimming, but not everyone is following that rule. But that's my own personal rule. And also something else that I've learnt since I started swimming in the river in Bern is that a kind of big temperature change can be quite dangerous before you get in the water. For example, if it's really, really hot and then you jump into freezing cold water, not a good idea.
Yeah, that's basically the things. You shouldn't jump in water anyway, especially not in moving water. Many people jump in from bridges and so on. If you exactly know where and so on, then maybe you can do. But usually in natural water, you shouldn't jump in because you can't really, except you can see the ground. And you can see, there's nothing underneath. But if you can't really see where you're jumping to, that's very dangerous. So, and then also don't jump in the water without first getting a bit,
limbering up kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. And then also, like you said, don't drink, no drugs.
Be safe, seriously.
It should be obvious, but obviously it's not. Otherwise, people wouldn't die all the time. So
true.
Yeah. Then, if you are not a good swimmer, don't go in a lake and also not in a river.
Yeah.
Or take a life vest or something.
That's the other thing. We see quite a few people. I mean, not loads, but there are people also going in the river wearing life vests. And I think, if you're a bit worried going for the first time, it's probably a really good idea.
Yeah, totally. Also, if you go on a boat, I mean, it sounds pretty obvious, but I think, yeah. Or the other possibility is there are also swimming courses, I think, to go wild swimming. So
yeah, they started doing one in the river here in Bern. I think it was about a couple of years ago. And they do it normally in German, but they can also do it in English, I think. We'll put a link on our website too. And basically you go with trained lifeguards and they basically show you how to get in and out, what to do if you get into a kind of tricky situation, what to avoid, what to look out for. Yeah. So I think it's a pretty good learning experience.
I think now it might sound more dangerous than it actually is, but basically it's just, you should have a bit more respect than just in a swimming pool, I think.
There's also a couple of really useful apps that we're using before we head into the Yara as well.
Yeah, I think basically first you want to know is the weather. If you really go wild swimming like in a mountain, you don't want to go swimming when it's, for example, raining further up in in the mountains, or even worse if there is a storm, because somewhere there can be a flood wave coming, which also caused deaths.
True.
So you shouldn't go swimming. If you see somewhere up the mountain, you see a really nice
like a small valley with a little river running through it.
Exactly, and you think, ooh, that's really nice, I go swimming there. But you look up the mountain and you see already black clouds and raining up there, then it's maybe better to get out of that, what did you say?
A small valley.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of that valley as soon as possible, because it's really quite dangerous, or can be very dangerous.
Yeah, that's a good tip, because for people who don't come from the mountains, you basically don't think about that.
So it's really good to have a little look at the weather. And there is one app, it's called Meteo Swiss, and what they have is quite nice. They have this, you have a Swiss map, and then you can scroll the timeline and you see where the rain is going.
Yeah,
and so
it's a kind of interactive map that shows you where the weather fronts are coming from.
Where it's coming, like in 30 minutes or so. So if you see already big storm is arriving, then maybe just cancel it and go one day later or something.
Good point.
Weather app, then you want to know the temperature of the water.
Yes, very important.
Yeah, that's it. Because like I said, if you go swimming in close to a mountain, then it might be melting water from the snow, especially in spring, so it can be really quite cold. And also the Aare, then at the beginning it's quite cold. It gets like from 10 degrees, 12 degrees, 15 degrees. There are people swimming every day, so also throughout the winter.
We call them crazy people.
Yep.
No, good for them.
Yeah, great. So
but what's the kind of temperature that we're looking for before we go in?
Depends for how long you stay. If you just go in and out, then it's like 10 degrees or something.
Okay.
But if you want to float a little bit, then I would say 17 is quite minimum temperature. But nice to float is like 18 plus.
Yeah.
And then really nice is 19 plus.
Exactly. Like today, that was perfect.
So there is an app called Splash. I only saw it for iOS, but I'm sure on Android there are loads of apps as well, where you just see the water temperature of all the rivers, all the lakes. Basically, it also shows which is the closest water to your actual location, and then you can see where to go. So that's really nice. So we have the weather, the water temperature, and there is also one especially for the Aare, for the people living in Bern. There are several apps, but one I like quite a lot is called Aare Guru.
Cool.
Is that an English word?
We use it in English. I don't know. I don't think it comes from English, but we steal a lot of words. Guru.
Yeah, okay. So it's called Aare Guru.
Very nice.
And what it tells you the temperature of the Aare, and also I think you can set alerts so that when it's 18 degrees, it says, go!
Push alarm, go swimming.
The nice thing is every day it tells you one phrase, one very, very Bernese phrase. Like, for example, when it's 10 degrees, they tell you, I don't know, don't go, or it's only for, hard people. Nomme verherti. Or today they say, let me see, ja It's like, yes, obviously. It's 20 degrees now. It means like, obviously.
Okay, that's cool.
To recap, you have the weather app, the water app, and if you want, you can look for a special app where you go swimming.
Brilliant.
That's basically it.
Okay, so tons of fun to be had, but just be a little bit careful, do your research before, and take an inflatable floaty.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to know, if you go on a hike or something, somewhere up a mountain, and you see a nice
lake?
A lake or also smaller river, and you think, I basically can sit in that river, you can. The water is clean. Just do it.
Tried and tested.
Yeah, exactly.
Go for it. Okay, so thanks a lot for listening today. If you do end up going swimming somewhere in Switzerland and you find a nice spot, do let us know, because we'd love to go there as well. If you like what you've heard today, then do take a few seconds and leave us a review on iTunes. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and even better, I must repeat, it would be if you join our Facebook group. I think it would be really nice to, talk to our listeners and
Yeah.
a bit exchange. And yeah, I think it would be a nice place.
Yeah. Switzerland for English speakers. Check it out on Facebook.
Yeah, great.
So thanks for listening.
Bye.